Ladies and gentlemen, there was a moment in my life when I felt like I was stuck in quicksand, grasping at anything to stay afloat, but only sinking deeper. Have you ever felt like that? Like no matter what you did, life just wouldn't cut you a break? Well, I've been there, and I'm here to tell you, there's a way out. But it wasn't luck or chance that saved me, it was rules. 3 rules, simple but not easy. And these rules didn't just pull me out, they transformed me. Today I want to share those with you, not because I think I've got it all figured out, but because if these rules can change my life, they can do the same for you. So stay with me, because this isn't just about listening, it's about changing. There's a myth that success comes from being constantly motivated, this idea that people who achieve great things wake up every morning with a fire in their belly ready to take on the world. But let me tell you something, real motivation is unreliable. It's like a fickle friend that shows up when you feel good, when the sun is shining and life is easy. But when the rain comes, when life punches you in the gut, motivation is nowhere to be found. It disappears just when you need it most. That's why I learned to stop relying on it. Instead, I learned the power of discipline. Discipline is the foundation that holds everything else together. It doesn't care about how you feel or what the weather's like outside. Discipline doesn't flinch when things get hard. It's the unshakable voice in your head that says, keep going. When motivation fails, discipline steps in. Let me paint you a picture. There was a time in my life when everything felt like a struggle. I had dreams, big ones, but I didn't have the consistency to back them up. I'd wake up some days full of energy, ready to tackle the world, and on those days I was unstoppable. But then there were days when I didn't feel like getting out of bed, and on those days my dreams stayed locked in my head. They didn't care about how I felt, they just sat there waiting for me to show up. And I didn't, not consistently at least. That inconsistency cost me time, opportunities, and confidence. I'd look around and see people getting ahead and I'd think, why not me? I'm talented, I'm capable. But what I didn't understand back then is that talent and potential mean nothing without the ability to show up every single day. One day I hit a breaking point. I was tired of the cycle of being motivated for a week and then falling off the next. So I made a decision. I told myself I'm going to show up no matter what. No excuses, no justifications. Just show up. At first it was hard. I'd sit down to work on my goals and every fiber of my being would scream, not today. Tomorrow. You deserve a break, but discipline doesn't care about feelings. Discipline says do it anyway. And slowly it got easier. Showing up became a habit, and that habit became the backbone of my growth. Let me share something powerful with you. The moment you choose discipline over motivation, you take control of your life. Motivation makes you a slave to your feelings. Discipline makes you the master of your actions. And here's the thing about discipline, it compounds. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. It's like a muscle. At first it feels weak, but with consistent effort it grows. And when it grows, it changes you. Discipline teaches you that progress isn't about giant leaps, it's about small, consistent steps. It's waking up every morning and putting in the work, even when no one's watching. It's about making a promise to yourself and keeping it, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And let me tell you, there's power in that. When you keep showing up for yourself, you start to build trust in your own ability. You stop doubting whether you can do something because you've proven to yourself time and time again that you can. A little secret, most successful people aren't extraordinary. They're not the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. They're the ones who decided, I'm going to keep showing up. That's it. Success isn't about having all the answers, it's about doing the work day in and day out until the answers reveal themselves. Think about the people you admire, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, what sets them apart. It's not just skill or passion, it's their relentless commitment to their craft. When others gave up, they kept going. When motivation left, discipline stayed. The beauty of discipline is that it works in every area of your life. Want to get healthier? Discipline will get you to the gym when motivation won't. Want to grow your career? Discipline will have you learning and improving long after others have given up. Want better relationships? Discipline will help you show up for the people you care about, even when it's inconvenient. And here's the kicker, the more disciplined you become, the more motivated you'll feel. Why? because progress creates its own momentum. When you start seeing results from your consistent efforts, it fuels you to keep going. But remember, the results don't come first, the discipline does. So stop waiting for motivation to strike. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Life isn't about feeling ready, it's about being ready, and you get ready by doing the work every single day. Failure is a word that most people fear, something we're taught to avoid at all costs, like a shadow lurking behind every risk we take. But let me tell you something that took me years to learn. Failure is not the end of the road, it's the beginning. It's not a wall that blocks your path, it's a stepping stone that moves you closer to where you're meant to be. And when you learn to embrace failure, not as something to avoid, but as something to learn from, that's when your life begins to change. There was a time in my life when failure felt like a label, like a permanent stain on my identity. Every mistake, every missed opportunity, every rejection, it all felt personal, like it was proof that I wasn't enough. I'd mess up and think, that's it. I blew my chance. I'll never get it right. And because I was so afraid of failing, I stopped trying. I stayed in my comfort zone where everything felt safe. But do you know what I learned in that place? Nothing. Growth doesn't happen where it's comfortable, it happens where it's uncomfortable. The first time I truly failed, it broke me. I put everything I had into a project, poured my time, energy, and heart into it, only to watch it crumble before my eyes. It felt like the universe was laughing at me, asking, "What were you thinking?" I was ready to quit, to give up on the dreams I'd carried with me for so long. But then something changed. In the middle of my despair, I realized something. Failing didn't kill me. Sure, it hurt. It was embarrassing, humbling, even devastating, but I was still here. And if I was still here, I had a choice. I could let that failure define me, or I could learn from it and use it to grow. That's when I decided to see failure differently. Instead of treating it like the end of the story, I started treating it like feedback. Every failure became a teacher, showing me what didn't work, where I could improve, and what I needed to do differently next time. I stopped asking, why did this happen to me? And started asking, what can I learn from this? That shift in mindset changed everything. You see, failure is inevitable. If you're doing anything worthwhile, you're going to fail probably more than once, but here's the secret: failure is a test. It's life's way of asking you, how badly do you want this? Are you willing to keep going even when it gets hard? And if your answer is yes, failure will become your greatest ally. Some of the most successful people in history were also some of the greatest failures. Think about it. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. These people didn't succeed in spite of their failures, they succeeded because of them. Every setback taught them something. Every mistake shaped their journey. I remember a moment when I was at another crossroads. I had failed again, and this time it felt bigger, heavier, like a mountain I couldn't climb. But then I thought about those stories about the people who refused to let failure stop them. And I asked myself, what if I'm just one failure away from success? What if this is the moment that prepares me for the breakthrough? That's when I understood what it means to fail forward. Failing forward doesn't mean you enjoy failing. It doesn't mean you go out looking for mistakes. It means you use every failure as a stepping stone, a lesson, a tool to propel yourself closer to your goals. It's about seeing failure not as a roadblock, but as a necessary part of the journey. When you fail forward, you stop fearing mistakes. Instead, you welcome them because you know they're helping you grow. You take risks, knowing that even if you fall, you'll rise stronger. You learn to separate your failures from your identity. Just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're human. It means you're trying. And trying is what matters. If you think about it, the people who never fail are the ones who never try. They stay on the sidelines, watching life pass them by, too afraid to take a shot. But you're here, you're trying, you're putting yourself out there, and that's something to be proud of. So the next time you face failure, and don't run from it, don't let it stop you. Instead, lean into it. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this to grow? Remember, every great success story is filled with moments of failure. Yours will be no different. Failure isn't your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Fail forward and you'll discover that what felt like the end was really just the beginning. For a long time, I thought life was all about chasing success. I thought the ultimate goal was to achieve my dreams, accomplish my goals, and build something I could be proud of. And while those things are important, there was a piece of the puzzle I was missing. It wasn't until I truly understood the power of serving others that my perspective shifted and my life began to change in ways I never expected. You see, we live in a world that glorifies individual success. The message is everywhere: hustle hard, build your empire, focus on you. And while there's nothing wrong with striving for personal growth and achievement, there's something deeply fulfilling that happens when you step outside of yourself and ask, what can I do for someone else? For years, I was so focused on my own path that I didn't take the time to look around and notice the people walking beside me. I was chasing the next big thing, the next accomplishment, the next win. But the more I achieved, the more I realized something was missing. It was like climbing a ladder only to find that the view from the top wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it would be. Then something shifted. I was going through a tough time, one of those moments when life feels heavy and you start questioning everything. A friend reached out to me not with advice or solutions, but simply to check in and let me know they cared. That small act of kindness hit me hard. It wasn't grand or flashy, but it reminded me of something profound. We're not meant to do this alone. It made me start thinking about the power of connection, of showing up for others, and of serving in ways that might not always be noticed but are always felt. When I began focusing on serving others, whether through small acts of kindness, lending a hand, or simply listening, I started to see life differently. Suddenly, it wasn't just about what can I get, but what can I give. Serving others isn't about waiting for the right moment or having all the answers. It's about being present and willing to contribute, even in the smallest ways. It's about recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity to make a difference. Sometimes it's as simple as encouraging someone who's struggling, offering your time, or just being there when someone needs support. The truth is, when you focus only on yourself, you can achieve a lot, but there's a ceiling to how much fulfillment you'll find. When you include others in your journey, when you use your strengths and resources to lift others up, that's when you tap into something deeper. Because here's the secret: success feels good, but significance feels great. I started to notice something incredible when I leaned into this mindset. The more I served, the more I grew. Helping others doesn't mean neglecting yourself. In fact, it often leads to unexpected personal growth. When you serve, you develop empathy, patience, and a sense of gratitude. You start to see the world and your place in it in a whole new way. Let me share a story. There was a time I was mentoring someone who was going through a tough period in their life. At first, I wasn't sure how much help I could offer. But as I showed up for them, listening, guiding, encouraging, I realized something. Their progress became my progress. Their victories felt like my victories. Watching them succeed gave me a sense of purpose that went far beyond anything I had ever achieved on my own. And that's the magic of serving others. It creates a ripple effect. One act of service, no matter how small, can inspire others to do the same. You may never fully see the impact of what you've done, but trust me, it's there. This isn't about grand gestures or waiting until you've made it to give back. You don't need to be rich, famous, or powerful to serve. It's about showing up where you are with what you have and doing what you can. Sometimes the smallest acts of service have the biggest impact. What's more, serving others has a way of putting your own struggles into perspective. It reminds you that no matter what you're going through, you still have the ability to make a difference. And in doing, you realize you're not just helping someone else, you're helping yourself. When you make serving others a priority, you create a life that's not just about personal achievement, but about connection and meaning. You build a legacy, not one defined by accolades or awards, but by the lives you've touched and the people you've inspired. I challenge you to look around. Who can you serve today? What can you do right now to make someone else's journey a little easier? It doesn't have to be big. Start small. Smile at someone. Offer a kind word. Share your time. Because when you serve others, you're not just giving, you're growing. And that growth will lead you to a life richer, fuller, and more meaningful than you ever imagined. In the end, it's not just about what you've accomplished. It's about the impact you've made, the lives you've touched, and the people you've lifted up along the way. That's what truly matters. And that's the kind of success that lasts. Engagement is a dance between the speaker and the audience, a dynamic exchange that breathes life into every word spoken. It's not enough to simply stand and speak. The key is to captivate, to hold attention, and to create an experience that resonates deeply. Engagement begins long before the first word is uttered. It starts with understanding the audience, respecting their time, and crafting a message so compelling that they have no choice but to lean in and listen. Every time you step up to speak, you're competing with countless distractions. People have phones buzzing in their pockets, thoughts racing through their minds, and 100 other things pulling at their attention. Your job as a speaker is to cut through the noise and give them something they can't ignore. The first step is establishing a connection, creating a sense of trust and rapport. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is waiting for you to speak. The energy is palpable, but so is the skepticism. People might be wondering, why should I care about what this person has to say? What makes their words worth my time? The truth is, you only have a few seconds to answer that unspoken question, and the way you answer it will set the tone for the entire interaction. One of the most powerful tools for engagement is storytelling. People don't just listen to stories, they feel them. A well-told story has the power to transport your audience, to make them see the world through your eyes. When you share something real, something personal, you create a bridge between yourself and your listeners. It's not about being perfect or polished, it's about being authentic. Let me paint a picture. Picture yourself opening with a story that tugs at the heart, one that reflects the challenges, dreams, or fears your audience might be grappling with. Maybe it's a story of failure, a moment when you fell short and had to pick yourself back up. Or maybe it's a story of triumph, when you finally broke through after years of struggle. The specifics don't matter as much as the sincerity. People will remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten your exact words. But engagement isn't just about storytelling, it's about pacing, tone, and energy. It's knowing when to slow down, let a thought sink in, and when to speed up, building excitement and momentum. It's about asking questions, real questions that invite the audience to reflect, to participate mentally. Engagement is a two-way street, even in a one-way conversation. Another critical aspect of engagement is relevance. If your message doesn't connect to your audience's needs, struggles, or aspirations, it won't stick. People want to hear something that speaks to them, that adds value to their lives. This means knowing your audience, who they are, what they care about, and what they need to hear in that moment. There's also an art to keeping the audience on their toes. Engagement thrives on unpredictability. If your words become predictable, the audience's attention drifts. Use surprises, unexpected turns in your narrative, moments of humor, or profound insights that make them think, I didn't see that coming. Keep them guessing and they'll stay with you. Humor, when used well, is another powerful tool. A well-placed laugh can break the ice, diffuse tension, and create a sense of connection. But it's not about forcing jokes or trying too hard to be funny. It's about finding moments of lightness, sharing something relatable, and letting humor flow naturally. Eye contact is another silent but powerful way to engage. When you look people in the eye, you create a sense of intimacy, even in a room full of strangers. It's a way of saying, I see you, I'm here for you. Combine that with body language that's open and intentional, and you amplify your presence. Engagement also requires clarity. If your message is muddled, your audience will check out. People don't want to work hard to understand what you're saying. They want clarity, simplicity, and focus. Strip away the fluff and get to the heart of your message. And most importantly, engagement is about passion. If you're not passionate about what you're saying, why should anyone else be? Your energy, your conviction, your belief in your message, these are what light the spark of engagement. People can sense authenticity. They can tell when you're speaking from a place of truth, and that's what draws them in. When you combine authenticity, clarity, relevance, and passion, you create an experience that's impossible to ignore. You give your audience not just words, but a journey, one they'll remember long after the moment is past. Engagement isn't just about grabbing attention, it's about earning it and holding it moment by moment until your final word. Every person has a unique set of gifts, talents, and abilities, something that makes them special and irreplaceable. For a long time, I didn't fully understand this. Like many people, I spent a good chunk of my life trying to fit into boxes that weren't made for me, trying to emulate others who seemed to have it all figured out. I thought that to succeed, I had to be like them, to follow their paths and adopt their ways. But the more I tried to imitate someone else, the further I drifted from who I was meant to be. There's something powerful that happens when you stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for direction. When you stop trying to be like everyone else and start embracing the unique qualities that make you you. The truth is, there's only one of you in this world. No one else has your perspective, your experiences, your voice. And that's not just the fact it's your greatest strength. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time in my life when I constantly compared myself to others. I'd see someone excelling in their career, achieving their goals, or living a life that seemed perfect, and I'd think, why can't that be me? What do they have that I don't? That comparison wasn't just unproductive, it was destructive. It made me feel small, inadequate, and stuck. I was so focused on what others were doing that I wasn't paying attention to what I could do. But then something shifted. I had a moment of clarity where I realized that I didn't need to be like anyone else. My journey wasn't supposed to look like theirs. My success wasn't supposed to follow their blueprint. The only person I needed to compete with was the person I was yesterday. And the only voice I needed to listen to was the one deep inside of me, the one that already knew who I was and what I was capable of. When I started embracing my unique strengths, everything changed. I stopped trying to hide the parts of myself that felt different or unconventional. Instead, I leaned into them. I started asking myself, what do I bring to the table that no one else can? What's my perspective, my edge, my gift? And the more I embraced my individuality, the more confident and fulfilled I became. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It doesn't need you to blend in or conform. The world needs you in all your uniqueness and authenticity. It needs your ideas, your creativity, your voice. The things that make you different are the very things that make you valuable. But embracing your uniqueness isn't always easy. It requires courage, especially in a world that often rewards conformity. It means standing firm in who you are. Even when it feels risky, it means saying no to things that don't align with your values, even when everyone else is saying yes. It means being okay with not fitting into every space or being liked by everyone, because you're not meant for everyone, you're meant for the right people, the ones who will value you for exactly who you are. One of the most liberating things I've learned is that you don't have to be perfect to make an impact. Perfection is an illusion, and chasing it will only hold you back. What matters is showing up as your authentic self, flaws and all. People connect with authenticity, not perfection. They're drawn to realness, to vulnerability, to honesty. When you show up as your true self, you give others permission to do the same. And here's the beautiful thing: when you embrace your uniqueness, you inspire others to embrace theirs. You become a living example of what it means to be authentic, to live with purpose, and to walk your own path. Your courage creates a ripple effect, encouraging those around you to step into their own power. I want you to think about this: what makes you different? What are the qualities, skills, and perspectives that only you bring to the table? It could be the way you think, the way you create, the way you connect with others. Whatever it is, lean into it. Celebrate it. Because that's where your magic lies. There's a quote I love that says, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." It's simple, but it's true. The moment you stop trying to be someone else and start embracing who you are, you unlock a kind of freedom and power that's unmatched. You start living life on your own terms, not by someone else's script. So don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid to be different. The world needs more people who are unapologetically themselves, who aren't afraid to shine in their own unique way. When you embrace your authenticity, you don't just live, you thrive. And in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. That's the power of being unapologetically you. Consistency is often underestimated in its power, yet it is one of the most transformative habits you can cultivate. It's not the grand, one-time efforts that lead to lasting success. It's the small, seemingly insignificant actions repeated over time that build momentum and create change. For a long time, I misunderstood this. I thought progress was about big, dramatic leaps forward. I believe success came from bursts of effort, those moments where you pour everything into something all at once. But over time, I learned the truth: consistency is the foundation on which greatness is built. Think about any skill, talent, or goal you want to achieve. Whether it's mastering a craft, building a career, improving your health, or strengthening relationships, it all comes down to the same principle. What you do consistently matters far more than what you do occasionally. Success isn't about intensity, it's about persistence. I've had moments where I set huge goals and poured myself into them with everything I had, only to burn out a few weeks later. At first, I blamed external circumstances. I'd say life got in the way, or I didn't have enough time. But deep down, I knew the truth: I wasn't consistent. I didn't stick with the process. And without consistency, even the best plans fall apart. When I finally started prioritizing consistency, everything changed. I learned that small actions done regularly add up in ways you can't always see at first. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the tree overnight, but that doesn't mean the growth isn't happening. Every time you water that seed, every time you nurture it, you're contributing to something bigger. The same is true for the habits you build and the goals you pursue. One of the most valuable lessons I learned was that consistency isn't about perfection. You don't have to get it right every single day. You're going to stumble. You're going to have off days. But what matters is that you keep coming back. You show up again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when you're not seeing immediate results. The key to consistency is discipline, but discipline doesn't mean forcing yourself to do something you hate. True discipline comes from knowing your why, that deeper reason behind your efforts. Why are you doing this? What's the bigger picture? When you're connected to your purpose, consistency stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a commitment to yourself and your vision. Let me tell you something about habits. Habits are the building blocks of consistency. What you do every day becomes who you are. And the beauty of habits is that they compound over time. A small habit might seem insignificant at first, but as it builds, it creates a ripple effect that transforms your life. Let's say you want to become a better writer. Writing for 10 minutes a day might not feel like much in the moment, but do it every day for a year, and you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Or take fitness as an example. A 20-minute workout might not seem like it's moving the needle, but do it consistently, and over time, you'll see results you never thought possible. Consistency is also about trusting the process and trusting yourself. When you consistently show up for your goals, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you're capable of sticking with something, even when it's tough. And that trust spills over into other areas of your life. You start to believe in your ability to handle challenges, to persevere, to succeed. One of the biggest barriers to consistency is the belief that progress needs to be fast. We live in a world that glorifies instant results, but real growth takes time. It's not flashy. It's not always exciting. But it's worth it. Consistency teaches you patience. It reminds you that every step, no matter how small, is a step forward. When I look back on the achievements I'm most proud of, they weren't the result of sudden bursts of effort. They were the result of showing up consistently, day after day, even when I didn't feel like it, even when it felt like nothing was happening. And here's the thing, though small, consistent actions didn't just lead to success, they transformed me in the process. So here's the truth: you don't need to be extraordinary to achieve extraordinary things. You don't need to have all the answers or all the talent in the world. What you need is consistency. You need the willingness to show up, to put in the work, and to trust that the process will pay off. If you're looking for a secret to success, this is it. Consistency might not be glamorous, but it's powerful. It's the difference between those who dream about their goals and those who achieve them. It's what separates the good from the great. And the best part is something anyone can do. All it takes is the commitment to keep showing up one day at a time.